Hola, mi gente, and welcome to episode 3 of Frill Talk. I am Marina, and I'm your host. So I'll be honest with you today. So I do not feel like being on camera right now. So I apologize if you're watching or listening this on YouTube. I'm just not in the mood to be dressing up, and I don't feel like being on camera. So I hope you can understand that. But I wanted to talk on here just because there's a lot of things happening. So the biggest thing that I want to talk about is the TikTok ban that's happening as a current when I'm making this recording. I'm honestly, I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty fed up with all these like sorts of political things in regard to social media. Because, obviously, like this will just affect a lot of people. I feel like TikTok in particular, and obviously it's happened on Facebook on Meta and Instagram. A lot of businesses, like small businesses, might be affected the most if TikTok were to be banned. Because I'll be quite honest, like I feel like many people are on TikTok to discover new things. That's kind of like the whole point of TikTok, to view videos. And a lot of businesses, small, medium, have been utilizing that. And if TikTok were to be banned in the US, it might literally affect hundreds and thousands of businesses that utilize it as like their main platform. Instagram, they decided not to pay creators for reels. So really, YouTube and TikTok are kind of like the ones that are paying people to make online content. And if your business obviously, let's say, blew up and you've been maintaining that, that'll just affect a lot of people's livelihood. And I don't think they realize how much this would affect the average American person. And in terms of creativity, like what will happen to all these creators that literally make livings from this platform? I just think this is obviously is a lot deeper than what they're trying to do. They're trying to say like TikTok is dangerous and China. That's really all I've seen, and even some of the snippets that I watched from the hearing today, it was pretty embarrassing that like a lot of the people that supposedly represent us were asking a lot of ridiculous questions. I remember there was this one representative, I forget who he was. He asked, you may know when you hear, he asked if TikTok had access to home Wi-Fi. And then, the CEO, Mr. Chu, he said, well, if the user allows Wi-Fi access to use on a phone, basic computer literacy, I feel, in my opinion, nowadays, yeah, it'll have access to Wi-Fi, because how else is going to connect to TikTok unless you use your data? But like that was just like such a crazy question to me, coming from someone who supposedly have power over a country, or rather all the decision making over a country. And then there was another representative that they showed a clip of a gun. Essentially, it was a threat to some of the Congress people, which is quite hypocritical, because I just see it as, okay, so guns are bad now, only when it's towards you and not to anyone else. And now you think it's a problem? That, don't get me wrong, obviously threats to people are not okay, but how do you have the audacity to say that when literally, if anything about school shootings or gun control or regulations, you have no issues? But if it's just on TikTok, oh, it's a big issue. But don't look at Reddit or Twitter or Facebook even. It just boggles my mind how these like asinine questions are asked to people who, I don't know, it's just crazy for me. So I just wanted to come on here and talk about that. I know that was kind of deep for a beginning, for an intro, and I apologize. Unfortunately, there's always going to be platforms that are coming and going, and who knows what platform Lolitas will decide to use. I remember back a few months ago when Twitter was having their issue. Mastodon was one, and then there was the Hive earlier, but that hasn't like stuck. Unfortunately, it's still predominantly Instagram and Twitter and TikTok that where I see a lot of Lolitas on there. So social media is definitely a big part of the fashion because a lot of us document our coordinates and make content creation for Lolita, and that's kind of how we expose ourselves to the world and to our communities. Like when we go out to meets, we'll be posting on the gram or whatever. So it's just very interesting, or rather I'm curious to see like how this will affect social media in terms of wearing the fashion. Now obviously not every single Lolita wears the fashion or documents their Lolita wardrobe or anything, but the good majority of us do. Like even blog posting, like when blogs were like the big thing, we used to use Blogspot, or before that LiveJournal, and that died, so that's not as popular anymore. And then unfortunately we don't really have a lot of blogging. There are the leaders that still do use blogs. So Saxon Blues, for example, is a blog poster. Jadedisland is another one that has a website that has their own blog post place. And there's several others that I just can't think off the top of my head, but there's so many that compile, or rather archive, in a blog format. And even that in itself isn't as popular anymore. Really short form videos right now are it for Lolita, just because we're showing off our outfits, so that's kind of like the main point. So I just wonder like what we're gonna do if, let's say, if TikTok does get banned. What is that gonna do to the Lolita community, or brands that utilize TikTok for Jfashion and kawaii fashion? Because I will admit, like, I discover new brands pretty often, or I regularly see brands and Lolita creators on TikTok. Obviously that's the audience for me, but I just wonder, what does this mean for the future? So speaking of brands, so Hot Topic is back at it again. So years ago they stole the Holy Lantern tights design, and now unfortunately recently they stole those iconic like heart tights from Spank. So Cybergirl, they did make a video about that, so I would watch that too. But of course, because of that, many Fairy K people are upset about this. We unfortunately have Sheen stealing from artists every often, and so now Hot Topic wants to get on it too, which is like unfortunate because I feel like Hot Topic used to be a staple in like many people's teenage years in terms of like anime and like fashion. They're like one of the alt stores that you would go to buy alt things and alt trends, and it's just sad to hear about this, quite honestly. I personally haven't bought from Hot Topic for a while. There was just a lot of things that like just kind of became iffy. Like I used to love like their t-shirt sales. Like I feel like their t-shirt shirts were great. And they started like really hacking down on like the Sanyo merch stuff. Like they have like every single time that like I pass by, like literally they have a stand with like all the Sanrio stuff, like the My Mellow and My Mellow and Kuromi like jewelry and socks and everything. It's just so interesting like how much have things changed. And not just like Jfashion, they also like stole like other designs of like other artists too and selling it, and just so it's just really unfortunate that this is happening. So another brand that I want to talk about, so the artist Imai, they did a top collaboration with Twinkle Lily. So they have bed sheets, an acrylic hanger, and a carpet. Now I will say like Kirai Imai, they have a very distinct art, so their art is very like well known. I just hate that so for the hanger, it's literally like one of the characters like with blonde hair and like a hanger. it's just like I wish they offered like in different colors, or like the dolls looking people in different colors. Cause like it just makes me upset that I can't have a blacker version of the hangers. You know, like a brown girl with like blonde hair would like looks so good. Because the one that they have now is just like, you know, that very pale girl that she always draw with like greenish eyes with blonde hair. And it's like, you know, if you're gonna do like people hangers, I feel like you need to do at least 2 skin tones. And it's like, okay, like sure, whatever. If you don't do a darker, do like a light tan one, I feel like I would have been fine with that. But unfortunately, you know, this is the unfortunate normal. So literally all of her characters are white dolls. Like I know like she's made like other non-white characters. Like there was like a zombie one and that was green. So she can certainly make a brown one. So it's just like it's just so frustrating. So I don't know. I just want a brown acrylic girl with blonde hair so that I can use in my closet, and I don't think that's such a bad thing, you know. So speaking of fashion shops, I just wanted to highlight Jadedisland's one of her recent posts, well rather in February I guess. It's the list of 40 plus black alternative fashion shops. I just feel like, I mean, normally I would have mentioned this, or normally people post about this in Black History Month. I just feel like a lot of that didn't go around. I just feel like this was like one of the few ones that I've seen with like a lot. Or maybe, you know, on Twitter there was quite a few, so I can't say there was a lot. But I hope people are not just buying this in February. I really hope you take a look at this list, because it has a lot of people. Like if you want to keep supporting black owned businesses, that this would be the list to look at. Like it has more updated, and honestly like a lot is like great. Like I highly recommend that you take a look. And I don't know, like some of it I personally discovered that I didn't know about. So I highly recommend that you take a look at it, because you know, if you consider yourself an ally, you should be the ally all year round, not just 1 month of the year, you know, which is just February or May for Asian Heritage Month. So highly recommend that you take a look of any lists that indicate alternative shops from like POC, not just black people of course, but of any POC that you should support. So another fun news. So Putumayo is coming back. Putumayo was a Japanese brand that was mainly like focusing on punk, or like punk Lolita clothing. It's known for its use of cartoon characters and imagery on their clothing and accessories, and it had pretty much just been really well known. So they're apparently coming back. So I am so excited. I wonder what exactly they're gonna do, because you know, it's been some time since they haven't really been around. So I wonder what sort of like style they're gonna like go, or like if they're gonna continue to do like a punk style. I feel like punk Lolita isn't really as popular anymore. So I wonder what they're gonna make. I mean, obviously it doesn't matter what's popular. But you know, like that might not just be the norm now. So I'm really excited to see what Putumayo has in store and when they're coming back. So I'm so excited, and I hope you keep on the look for that. I want to just mention that I have a Amazon storefront. So essentially, I was able to sign up for the Amazon influencers thing. So I'll be putting things on my Amazon storefront that if you, maybe if you want to support me, you can go ahead and shop through your Amazon. There's no additional cost or anything. All you do is just click on my link and then just shop on my storefront for any Lolita things. I'll be regularly updating it as I go, so there may be more stuff later than now. So if you want to support your favorite creator here, feel free to do so. And then also I still have the discount code for 42 Lolita. If you just use Marina K, it's 5% off your order, and then you'll just be supporting me and the channel. So I appreciate all that y'all do. So next I want to talk about upcoming events, or rather highlighting upcoming events. So one that I know that's happening that a lot of people know about is Tekko. So that is July 20th to the 23rd, and that's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I went last year, and I was thankfully I was able to go as press. I'm not sure if I'll be able to go this year just because I live a little bit further where I was previously. Before it was kind of like a 3-hour drive, whereas now I'm in in New York, so it's kind of further. So it'll be meaning traveling will be a little bit more costly for me. If I could go, I most certainly would. Their Jfashion programming, it's kind of always on point. I really enjoyed the tea party. It's a really good, the con itself I can't really comment on because I kind of just go there for more of the Lolita events. But from what I've seen, at least last year, they were really, they were doing really well of making sure like everyone was masked, even when the rest of the world isn't. So that's like a huge plus for many people. So I highly recommend. I'm not sure what this year's theme will be, and again, I'm not sure if I would go just because it would be a little bit further for me to go. But I'm really excited to see future pictures and stuff. Another convention or event that's happening, it's actually in Helsinki, Finland. It's the Labyrinth of Dreams, and that's September 23rd and 24th. It's at the con Hellocon, and they're celebrating their 10th anniversary with a Lolita fashion event, which is called Labyrinth of Dreams. So that is in Helsinki, Finland. Really want to highlight any upcoming events that are happening this year so that we can all stay informed and celebrate our great community worldwide. Another con that's happening, it is in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and that is A-Kon. That is September 29th to October 21st of this year. And it isn't strictly Lolita, it's an alternative fashion event, so obviously it's a Jfashion event. I am going to try to go to A-Kon just because I hear a lot of good things. So I would absolutely love to go to A-Kon. So it wouldn't be too hard for me to get up to Canada, Toronto. I've been to Anime North a few times in the past, so it hasn't been like too difficult for me. So I'm pretty like sort of familiar with Toronto. It's a great city. So I would love to go to A-Kon. I feel like every single time I find out when A-Kon is, it's always after it's happened. So it's unfortunate that I haven't like been able to go. I've been wanting to go for the longest. Of course, the pandemic put a stop on everything, so. And then another Jfashion event that's happening, it's actually in Lima, Peru. It's a tea party Mascarada, and that's on August 26th and 27th. Honestly, Latin America has several, and I'm really jealous that Latin American has a lot of communities, really. There's like a few, not just this one. I remember seeing that there's like another community. I think Mexico like has had a Lolita event, believe last year. I haven't seen anything for this year, but I will run a list. I'm gonna try to make an effort to kind of talk about like upcoming Lolita events, so that we're all informed to try to go. Honestly, I would love to go to Latin America because there's so many people over there. And I don't know, I feel like Latin America has a lot more Lolita events than the US. So I mean, it could be because there's more people over there in more countries, obviously. Another Lolita event, it is called EGL Masquerade Ball, presenting a dance in Dracula's castle. And that is in Fort Worth, Texas, and that's in July 15th of this year. Never been to Texas, so that is definitely a goal of mine, maybe to go to an event or maybe even A-Kon. That's another great event to go to. A-Kon is another event in Texas. Last year they did such an amazing job with the Jfashion programming. Like, I was just going ballistic over the pictures. So that's in Irvine, Texas, and that's from June 2nd until June 4th. And I would love to go. I honestly want to go to A-Kon. I I don't know, I just feel like a lot of West Coast things I haven't been able to gone to, just because I lived on the East Coast, pretty much the East Coast my entire life. So, I would have to go to the opposite side of the country, so that's a little bit difficult, and pricey. So that is another fashion con that y'all can attend to. So I really hope people attend more anime conventions, so they can see that, hey, Lolitas also want to see things about our fashion and fashion community. So that would be great. There is a virtual Jfashion event happening, and that's from May 5th until the 7th. And that's hosted by the Rosé people. So, from what I know, they were gonna have a con in Denver, Colorado, but of course, with everything in the pandemic, just made it a little bit difficult. So they've been hosting this. So they've been hosting virtual events, which is really great, because it gives people a chance to go without having to travel. And I've met some of them at Royal Vegas Retreat last year, and they're wonderful people. So I hope y'all can attend too. So that's from May 5th and the 7th. There will be virtual vendors, so you can shop too. And of course, there'll be virtual panels on Twitch, is what I believe the format or the platform that they use for that. I want to switch gears and talk about a upcoming game. So that is Fashion Dreamer. It's coming on the Switch, and in the trailer, it featured lily dresses. So from when I looked this up, because I've never heard of Fashion Dreamer, I've never played any of the older games. And it wasn't until recently that I didn't have a Switch. So I'm kind of excited that I'm definitely gonna get this game, because it's essentially like, imagine like Sims, and you can customize your people, but it's just all about fashion. And you're like, the premise of it seems like you're trying to like be like a influencer, a fashion influencer. And I think that's very fitting. I think that's kind of interesting, considering what's happening with like social media and censorship. And then we'll be getting a game that'll all be about being an influencer and trying to be the most popular, or spread awareness or whatever. I just think it's a very interesting timing. So I'm really excited. I watched like several videos about this Fashion Dreamer game, and it seems like you can fully customize your character. So like from skin, eyelashes, eyeballs, eye shape, like literally like every single part, like nail polish. It was just amazing. And you can even change like the color of like the clothes. I personally haven't played like a fashion kind of game in like so long. I've mostly been playing currently right now, at least I've been playing like a Digimon game, the Cyber Sleuth. So I'm finally finishing that as of recently, and I really enjoy it. So I think I will probably pick up the Fashion Dreamer, just because I kind of want to try to play more fashion games. I just kind of been on the kick of that and kind of looking into that more. So I'm really excited for that. And of course, I'll even stream my my gaming. I'm not sure if that's of interest. I've never really touched Twitch except for like watching virtual panels, so I'm not really sure if I would actually do that. So you let me know if that would be of interest. The brand I wanted to highlight was the Iris Garden and Haenuli collab. So it's the Beloved series. Honestly, like from what I saw, they had a Kickstarter, and it was funded in like very short amount of time. I feel like it was like 5 minutes it was funded. So that's like so exciting. So it's their new collab series. So it's a dress and a beret, a coughing bag. It's an OP and one piece, and the t-shirts, and they have like a removable collar and other accessories, of course. So I just love how little community really was about this, and it was just like really nice to see. So it just makes me wonder of what that future is, because I feel like there's so many brands that don't get a chance to have their things funded, or they don't have the funds to make things. So I wonder if there's a way that we can, find out more about brands and try to back them up, which kind of goes back to my point of the list of the Jadedisland list that she made. Support these brands, because they are, they're not always like 20 plus people. They're usually run by like a small hand of people. So it's just like amazing how like for Haenuli and Iris Gardening, this was funded in like very short amount of time. I feel like it was like 10 minutes or something like that. I could be wrong, but that was just my perception, because it was just like it was backed up. I think their goal was 6,000, and they ended up going beyond that. They went beyond $100,000. So obviously that will be fully funded, and they were able to add on more things and more extras, accessories and articles of clothing to order. So you're still able to pre-order it. I think it's supposed to come out like shipping in September. So the pre-order, I think it ends in April. So April 1st is when the pieces are for a pre-order. So if you want anything, highly recommend that you do that. They were also able to have their stuff at the AP and Harajuku Heart store in San Francisco, which is like really amazing. So I'm so happy to see a lot of success for Iris and Haenuli, and hope we see more backing of Lolita events and Kickstarters. Next, I want to talk about, so last episode, I mentioned that I'll be using I'll be using a hashtag, FrillTalkComm. So essentially, it's a hashtag that you, the audience or the listeners, can use to essentially show off anything regarding the Lolita community. So I wanted to talk about this one reel that they use. So this is from the user Alicia.illustration, and I will put it on the screen in the YouTube version, but I'll have the audio here in the audio only version. So essentially it's someone altering brand. The brand is the AP radioactive cupcake. It was a commission, and so they added a back panel, and I really wanted to talk about this. So that's just amazing. So this person, they commissioned, or rather they altered someone's radioactive cupcake JSK or OP, and they added a back panel to make it fit. And I think that's amazing. For one, I think it's amazing that you're able to do that, or rather do add a back panel to a dress. Like, that's just amazing to me. And I know that feeling of having brand altered, and I just feel like that's just an indescribable feeling. My first time having one of my little dresses altered, I couldn't even describe to you. It was just so amazing. The first dress that I think the first dress that I got altered was actually a Jellic Pretty's Neon Star Diner. I really love the print, and I got it altered by Thistledown Emporium. And it was absolutely, I kind of wanted to cry a little bit. And just seeing literally their comments saying, "My titties fit," it was just great, and literally like a sentiment that I totally feel. I wish the community would be more kind, and I feel like it has been. Like, the community has been more kind about altering brand, especially. And of course, many brands are offering custom sizing, so it's amazing that we have different options now. Like, not only can brands do custom sizing and offer petite and plus size sizings, we also have places, or rather these we also have people that can alter brand, like that can sew and make things bigger or smaller, which is just amazing to me. And I don't know, it just makes me feel a lot of warmth inside. So thank you for sharing that. And I really enjoyed that. So they added I thought it was a back panel, but they added a corset lacing to, this is the captions that I'm reading, adding corset lacing to Angelic Pretty Radioactive Cupcake. There's many ways to improve the fit around the bust, from sewing two dresses together to adding a panel and lacing like I've done here. I love doing sewing projects like this and having people faces light up when the clothing fits. And it was just amazing. I absolutely love that. So I highly appreciate you sharing that, because that was great. And yeah, so if you are interested in showing off whatever it literally can be anything. It's open to anything. You just essentially allow me to talk about it on an episode of Frill Talk. So if you use the hashtag FrillTalkComm, like community, COMM, I'll feature your video, your reel, or your post or whatever. And yeah, just kind of just to highlight and celebrate the global Luda community. And that was just great. That was honestly like the best way to end this. I think it was a very warming sentiment, because it just made me feel a lot of things, a lot of good, happy things. And I imagine for the person that got the dress altered, they must be feeling super happy since their titties fit, as they said. And I honestly, when I first saw that video, I absolutely laughed and died because I was there. I've been there. So so I think that was a great way to end this episode. So if you want to feature anything, you feel free to use the hashtag FrillTalkComm. I do follow that hashtag, so I will be looking at it periodically. And obviously, if you use that, then that means it's okay for me to use it and show off in a future Frill Talk video. So thank you for joining me. This was Marina, and I hope y'all have a great one, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.